Hello Internet, I am Insane Lane, and this is First Thoughts on WestWorld, Season 1, Episode 7, Trompe Oeil. I have no idea what that means, and I bet we won't find out. We open with Bernard dreaming of his son's voice, so these people do sleep. I was starting to wonder, since it seems like there's only about a dozen people who make up the entire staff. What I'm wondering now, is it in fact Bernard that's stealing the data? I mean, he is the head programmer, he would know how, he has access, he's got a tragic backstory that he's clearly not handling very well. He wakes up and goes back to work, today checking on Hector's programming. Seems a guest said some things about the real world, but as programmed, Hector ignored it. Bernard even shows him pictures of the real world, but doesn't look like anything to me. The new exec who's shown up wants to borrow the sexy Hector bot, please, and oh, by the way, Elsie is missing, but turns out she was supposed to be on leave anyway, so no worries. It's not like she's kidnapped or dead in the park after finding out that at least two high-up people might have been giving corporate secrets away. We finally return to Dolores and co. Evil Lawrence and William are bonding over poker. Dolores is disturbed, but she looks damn fine in those pants. I like this version of her. Not that I don't like the blue dress version, but this one is clearly more interesting. Dolores looks out the window and sees dead people, so that means they're in a very dangerous area now. Bernard is looking for Elsie, but can't seem to find her. He even looks in the park. Still, nothing. Then he finds Teresa, who's stressed as usual, but keeping things running. They chit-chat and she leaves, stumbling across the new exec trying out Hector for sex. Shocker. But she doesn't let the fact that she's naked and post-coital stop her from having a business meeting about Ford's odd behavior and the recent problems in the park. The company named Delos is mentioned, and it's said that the real value in the park is the host programming. The word experiment comes up, and that all the information on it, and on the hosts, only exists inside the park. Nowhere outside and no backups. Ford apparently has kept the board away from this programming all of these years. It's his trump card over them. It's why he can do whatever he wants and why they're afraid of him, because he has the power to hit the delete button. This is where we have a problem now, because the board wants to fire Ford. Okay, he's past his day, he's going crazy, he's interfering with our money. They want to be rid of him, but they need the data first, so they can't just screw him over. Meaning it is perhaps this new exec who set up the original Satlink trying to steal the data. It is hinted that she has been causing some of the problems in the park in order to make Ford look bad and get the board more access on the guise of being here because there are problems. But since this hasn't worked very well so far, it's time to up the ante. They decide they want the host seen as dangerous. This would cause some outrage and give the board more leverage to force more of the changes that they want. So time for a new plan. They will take a normally peaceful host and cause them to freak out and turn violent, scaring everybody and letting them roll the host back to a less human state. With her heightened brains and less in pain, Maeve is walking to work. I find it interesting she walks to the brothel. She doesn't live there, as any prostitute of the time would have. She slams the perpetually playing piano shut and is having some trouble keeping to her script. We hear the other pro's story, finally, that she's supporting a family and planning on leaving this life in a couple of years. Then suddenly everyone freezes, but not Maeve. She pretends in time not to be noticed, but when she thinks they're coming for her, grabs a knife. However, it's her friend they take, saying it must be serious if she's being pulled in broad daylight with so many guests around. Over to Dolores and co on the train, and William asks her about this place that she's looking for. How does she know that it's real? She says she doesn't, but she also doesn't want to go back to her old life. Ever. He tells her about being lonely as a child, and that he used to read a lot, live in books. She says she doesn't want to be in a story, just to live in the moment. It's oh so fluffy and romantic, I can hardly stand it! William tells her about Juliet, his fiancée and Logan's sister, that they are getting married, and Dolores backs away. Seems she and William are true white hats. Won't cheat on his woman, and won't take someone else's man. But William does go after her, and talks about how in the real world he's always pretending, always doing what other people want, but here he can be real. Finally, he kisses her, and they screw. Back to the Hunger Games control room, and we have the new exec, Bernard, Ford, and Teresa all meeting up. Exec talks about the reveries that Ford programmed, and everything else they found out. And finally, my favorite prostitute has a name. Clementine. I like it. They've rolled back the update with the reveries to fix the problem. And to test this repair, a demonstration. A spec ops guy decked in black comes in and starts beating on her and then murdering her. But, surprise, he's a host as well. Gee, a host dressed as a security person. How about that? Then, they reset Clementine, erase her memory, and repeat the program. Only this time, Clementine goes crazy, starts wiping the floor with this guy, just whipping his butt up and kills him before he can kill her. They give the freeze command, but she doesn't stop. She tries to attack another Spec Ops guy, but he's able to shoot her before she can get too close. Teresa explains that because of the reveries, Clementine was able to remember the previous cycle, causing it to overload her programming and allowing her to attack him before he could murder her. Seems their rollback is insufficient. And wait a minute, didn't I say something like that when reviewing Ep 1? That was the point of the reveries, and why, dear God, do that? Still waiting for an answer on that. This seems so intentional, it is shocking that no one in the room is calling out Ford as he stands there completely unblinking, nonchalant, could not be any less interested in what is going on. It's like he is mentally ticking off how much time he has to waste standing here when he's got more important things to be doing. The higher-ups are blaming Bernard, saying he's head programmer. He wrote the code, didn't he? And look what you've done, Bernard. I mean, it's not like Ford just slipped something new in there without telling anyone. He is so fired. And Ford says nothing. Seriously, why is he here? And the affected hosts will most likely be destroyed, or at least have their brains switched out for new brains that won't glitch. Because that's just way simpler. Dolores has been drawing, and Williams cracked the code. What this place is really about. Showing you who you really are. Just like Logan said. I really hope we see him again at some point. I'm sure he's not dead. I mean, he is real, I think. Dolores has drawn a place she's never been. Somewhere new. And it's beautiful there. No time for that now because they're surrounded. And the Gatling gun Teddy used makes a return appearance. It's fairly cool to watch in action, however anachronistic. Dolores and Co. use the nitro body they have on board to scare off the Confederate guys, and William is ever the White Hat, again saving Dolores as they escape, and are saved by the arrival of the Ghost Nations who we've heard so much about. They ride off in search of the place she's been drawing. It's a canyon with a river at the bottom. William and Lawrence split ways, but Lawrence warns that any further, and you're in uncharted territory. No telling what's out there. Then Maeve is in the control room again, and she demands to be taken to Clementine, and sees her being lobotomized. Oh no! And again, why do this? This is a serious waste of hardware and resources. If a host is decommissioned, why not break them down for part? Why let them stand in a basement somewhere? Like, what is the point of this? I'm sure the real reason is because if we really break her apart, then we've lost that actress and we would have to cast more people and we spent the budget on other things already. Teresa and Bernard talk and he calls her out on being behind the SAT uplink and says that she added the Reverie code to cause problem. Interesting since he knows that she didn't. Seems that years ago Arnold wrote half the code that runs the host, but there are things about it that no one else knows, about how it works and interacts with itself. Seems only Ford knows these things and he's not telling. Over to Repair Guy and Asshole who are scared shitless of Maeve, but explain that there's nothing they can do. Clementine's been retired. Sorry. Maeve's clearly very upset at this, but she has a plan. She wants out of this park. Asshole tries to explain that that's just not possible. He says something about even her skin being made to keep her here, making me wonder if she will melt if she leaves the park. Keep in mind, the predominant theory is that the park is underwater in the middle of the ocean, so it would be under significant pressure. So for a long time, I have been wondering if that pressure differential is somehow taken into account in the construction of the host, so that if they were to ever try and ascend and leave the park, they would literally fall apart or be crushed. But for now, she says, "Help me or I will kill you," which seems like a misstep. They could overpower her and retire her right now. But I guess she's really that scary, so they're gonna go along with it. Bernard and Teresa go into the park, talking about what she did, and she's defending it, saying the corporation owns the host. The corporation owns the stories. They can do whatever they want. But they need the backup data to run this place properly. Ford's on his way out, Bernard. That's not going to change. And again, there's mention of the corporation's true interest. We're not told exactly what those are. I can take some guesses, though, and here's one. The data on how the robots work. Very impressive. I'm sure it's worth a lot of money. And I'm sure there are a lot of rich people who would pay to have one of these hosts around their house. I mean, we practically have them already. But I think what the real data is, what the real game might be, is blackmail. I mean, think about it. Very, very rich, prominent, powerful people come to this park to do horrible, horrible things. And we've seen repeatedly that from the control room, they see it all. They can zoom in as much detail as they want. And it is definitely all recorded. Meaning, there is video of every bad act ever done in the park. Can you imagine the headline? Judge Walter Smith resigned today after video emerged showing him killing 3 prostitutes in a Wild West saloon. Identities unknown, investigations are ongoing. Can you imagine? Because who's gonna believe that, hey, it's a super secret theme park? I mean, one of the things that's a little shady in the show is how commonly known is WestWorld? Does everybody know that this place exists? Or only rich asshole? I mean, I hardly think they're running ads on the 6 o'clock news with how much it must cost to come here. So the general public might not be aware of the existence of this place, and certainly not how realistic it is. But hey, that's just a theory. As they go deeper into the park, they come across the Ford family house, only it's empty now. The hosts are gone. But they go down in the basement and find a printing machine, a host making machine, and it's active. How many hosts has Ford been making? Where are they? Why are they? Don't know. As they look around some more, they find some blueprints. One's for the Ford child, one for Dolores, but then something neither of them can seem to make sense of. I was right! Yes! They are hosts. They are bots, just like everybody else. There's the blueprint right fucking there. Had it from the beginning. Oh my god! Okay, so many questions. Does this really mean that all of the staff, all of them, are hosts, all of them, is Ford the only real person? He must be so lonely, man, for real. Is the board even real? Are they part of a storyline? We've seen a couple people come from the outside world, we think, and come into the park. Or maybe they were just hosts in sleep mode and we didn't see them before. I don't know who's real. I do think the board is real, because otherwise Ford made antagonists to spy on and defeat himself that only seem to be interfering with whatever he's up to. Or maybe that is what he's up to. I don't know anymore. But I'm watching so closely. By narrative law, Ford appears at this exact moment. He starts talking about the host's programming, how they never, ever doubt it. Never doubt that they are real. He seems to say that Teresa is real, and may or may not have known Bernard was a host. But he was only following orders, it seems, to bring her here, to Ford right now. Ford wanted her to see all this place. He wanted her to know the no. They banter a bit, and she says, "Enough of this, old man. You're out. The board is taking over. Your time as god of all the hosts is done." He says he never wanted to be a god. He just wanted to tell stories. He laughs at her threats, saying he's far too valuable to the board, and while they may test him every now and then, they'll never really make a move against him. There's another vague mention of blood sacrifice, and he talks about how this place was a dream that he shared with Arnold. She asks if this is what happened to Arnold. Did Bernard kill him? Ford says no, it didn't go down like that. Bernard wasn't here yet. She goes for her phone, but darn, no signal in a basement. Ford orders Bernard to kill her, meaning either he can order a host to kill a real person, or she's not real. I don't know at the moment, but Bernard does, and we fade to black. This is getting so intense now. I mean, Bernard is a host, Teresa is dead, Ford ordered a murder, where is Elsie? Is the board real, or any of the people in the control room or the repair shop real? Is anything real? I don't know, but we're 7 down and 3 to go, so come back soon for more WestWorld. I have been Insane Lane. Bye-bye.